I'm Adam.
And I'm Cupcake.
And this is Where There's a Williams, There's a Way. Hey, Cupcake, did you hear about the leprechaun sighting near the school?
Oh, leprechauns, you say? Aren't they the little fellows with pots of gold at the end of the rainbow?
Yeah, exactly. Some of the kids swear they saw one dancing around the playground.
Ha! That's rich. Maybe he's looking for his pot of gold.
Or maybe he's trying to avoid doing his taxes. You know how tricky those leprechauns can be.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't put it past them. But imagine if we caught one. We'd be richer than I was after I won the lottery.
That's true. You already won the lottery. Why would you need more money?
Can you ever have enough?
True. But catching a leprechaun is like trying to catch a greased pig at a county fair.
Well, if we do catch one, do you think he'll grant us 3 wishes?
Knowing our luck, he'd probably just offer us a lifetime supply of clover.
Oh, joy. Just what I always wanted. A garden full of clover.
In today's book, clever Tom Fitzpatrick thinks his fortune is made when he captures the leprechaun and forces him to reveal the hiding place of his gold. But the leprechaun is clever too. Let's get started. Clever Tom and the Leprechaun, retold and illustrated by Linda Shute. One fine day on Lady Day in the Harvest, Tom Fitzpatrick took a ramble down the lane. Click-clack, click-clack, he heard through the hedge, so Tom tiptoed closer to take a look. The clacking sound stopped when Tom peeped through the bushes, and in the shadow, what did he see? Why, a big gallon pitcher and a teeny-tiny man with a brown leather apron and a 3-cornered hat. Up the small man climbed on his wee wooden stool and dipped his little piggin into the crock. Then he settled down with his full mug beside him to hammer on the heel of a fairy-sized shoe. By the powers, thought Tom, it's a leprechaun. If I catch him and scare him, he'll give me his gold. Since I'm a clever fellow, it should be simple. Before the sun sets, I'll have my fortune made. Tom stared at the leprechaun and tried not to blink. He knew that if he looked away, the old man would escape. Then he crept up quite near and tipped his hat politely, saying, "Good day to you, neighbor. Blessings on your work." "Thank you kindly," said the small one, but he never looked up. He just kept on tapping at the heel piece of the brogue. Tom moved his hand closer while he smiled very sweetly and said, "Today's a holiday. You shouldn't have to work." The leprechaun frowned and answered Tom sharply, "If I do, that's my business and none of your own. Instead of pestering me, young man, you ought to be watching your father's fields. Look there, the cows have broke into the oats. See, they're knocking the corn all about." Cows in the cornfield? Tom's head started turning.
What would you wish for if you caught a leprechaun?
That's a tough one. I think I'd wish for a classroom full of well-behaved students who always do their homework and never interrupt me during lessons.
Good luck with that one, Adam. You might have a better luck catching another leprechaun than getting a classroom like that.
Yeah, you're probably right. But hey, a teacher can dream, can't he?
I'd wish for a luxury barn where I can retire in comfort.
Don't you already have that from your lottery winnings?
Well, yeah, but you can always upgrade.
Anything else?
I'd wish for all the cows in the world to be treated with kindness and respect.
That's noble.
And for my final wish, I'd wish for a lifetime supply of the most delicious cupcakes ever made.
Really living up to your name.
It's destiny, really.
But he wasn't fooled by the leprechaun's trick. Quickly, he grabbed the sly fellow and cried, "Now you're my prisoner. Tell me, where's your gold?" The leprechaun wiggled and twisted and whined, "I'm just a poor man." But Tom held him fast. "You and I both know you're lying," said Tom, and he made a fierce, frightening face. Finally, the leprechaun quit squirming and said, "Tom Fitzpatrick, you're too clever for me. I see you're after my buried treasure, so I'll have to show you where it is hid." With his eye on the itty-bitty man locked in his fist, Tom followed where the leprechaun led him. He traipsed over a hill and under some hedges, and through a ditch and across the peat bog. At last, just when Tom feared he'd been hoodwinked, he found himself in a great field of weeds. "Dig there," said the leprechaun, pointing to a bush.
Deep under that bullion is where I put my gold.
Thunderation, said Tom. I need to fetch my spade, but when I return I'll be lost. There are 40 acres of bullion here, and each plant looks just like the other. Still watching the leprechaun, Tom figured out a plan. He tied his bright red garter on the bush. Swear, you old rascal, that you won't take this off while I run back to get my spade.
That I will promise you,
the little man said. Tom grinned, knowing that leprechauns always keep their word.
Now, since I've shown you where my treasure is, I don't suppose you'll need me anymore.
No, said Tom. My fortune's made. You may go, and good luck go with you.
Then goodbye, Tom Fitzpatrick, said the leprechaun. May you do much good with what you find.
Hey, Adam, remember the time we outsmarted old Mr. Jenkins?
Oh, yeah. That was hilarious. How could I forget?
Well, for those of you that don't know, Mr. Jenkins was convinced he could outsmart us by betting that he could beat us in a pie-eating contest.
Little did he know we had a secret weapon.
Yep, my incredible talent for baking. I whipped up the most delicious, but also the most devious batch of pies ever.
They were filled with hot sauce. Acorn would have loved them.
Exactly. So when Mr. Jenkins took that first big bite, he practically breathed fire like a dragon.
While he was frantically reaching for water, we calmly finished our pies and claimed victory.
It was priceless. And to top it off, we donated our winnings to the school's charity fund.
I guess you could say we were the real winners that day. Away Tom ran as fast as he could run, figuring how he'd spend the gold. Then back he came with his shovel in his hand, back to the field of bullions. But when he got there, lo and behold, a garter just like his own was tied to each and every bush as far as he could see. Tom dug under the bullion where he thought he'd tied his garter, but nothing was buried under that bush, and so he dug under another. He dug to the east, and he dug to the west, and still he found no treasure. The harvest moon rose as he dug to the north, and it set as he dug southward. When the sun came up, Tom saw he'd dug 100 holes, and tired Tom Fitzpatrick knew he couldn't find that gold, so he gave up and headed for home. From then on, Tom always carried his spade, and he never stopped listening for a tapping in the field. Every chance he got, he'd tell how he nearly found the gold. And since I'm a clever fellow, Tom would end his tale, the next time I catch that leprechaun, I'll have my fortune made. Hey, Cupcake, remember the time we outsmarted Principal Johnson?
Oh yeah, that was a hilarious day.
Well, you know how Principal Johnson was always claiming that we were sneaking extra snacks from the cafeteria?
Yeah, he was like a hawk with those surveillance cameras.
Exactly. So one day we decided to prank him. We set up a fake food fight in the cafeteria and made sure he saw us in the middle of it.
Oh, I remember now. And while he was busy trying to break up the fight, we snuck into his office and switched his coffee with decaf.
That's right. When he came back, he was so frazzled that he didn't even notice us giggling in the corner.
And then he spent the rest of the day wondering why he felt so tired and groggy.
It was the perfect plan, and we totally outsmarted him. Hopefully this video didn't make you groggy. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm Adam.
And I'm Cupcake.
And this is Where There's a Williams, There's a Way. Source notes. When he was a teenager, T. Crofton Croker, 1798 to 1854, rambled in the countryside near his native Cork and listened to the Irish peasant stories, ballads, and keens. Croker's Legends and Traditions of the South of Ireland, the first published collection of Irish folklore, included the archetypical leprechaun tale, The Field of Ballion. The story is thought to have its origin in Celtic lands. Although Croker learned it in English, not Gaelic, it was found only among Irish Celts, descendants of the people that migrated from Europe to the British Isles around 400 BC, and formed the dominant culture there for over 1,000 years. Today's British Celtic population is found in Ireland, the Scottish Highlands, Wales, and the Isle of Man. The tale's motif of marking many things identically to prevent one of them from being discovered is found worldwide. The leprechaun, however, is exclusively Irish. No elves, trolls, or other fairy folk appear in ancient Celtic legends and sagas, but these beings are found in the lore on the countries to the north. This has led to the speculation that the Irish leprechaun may be a legacy of the Danish, Viking, or Norse conquest in AD 1795 to 1014. Ballion is derived from Balchan, the Gaelic name for the plant known as ragwort, sometimes called ragweed because of the ragged shape of the leaf. Ragwort has long been associated with fairy folk. Like ryegrass, it is their refuge and cannot be used against them. Fairies are said to magically change the stalks of the ragwort to horses when they ride through the air. The Greek goddess Hecate and other witches flew ragwort sticks when no broomstick was handy. In Ireland, ragwort grows to be a large, noxious weed, which farmers destroy because it's harmful to animals that graze on it. Lady Days are celebrations of events in the life of Our Lady, the Virgin Mary. The Feast of the Annunciation on March 25th, which in medieval times was the first legal day of the new year. The Assumption on August 15th, the birth on September 8th, and the Immaculate Conception on December 8th. In Ireland, there were many local festivals on March 25th and August 15th. People tried to start reaping their grain crops around the time of the August holiday. Today, sheep and horses are still brought to villages' fairs at that time, and the faithful visit holy wells popularly dedicated to Our Lady, circling the wells as they say their prayers. Irish shrubs and wildflowers are shown here as they would look on this Lady Day in the harvest. Nowadays in British March 25th is designated Lady Day. The buried gold the leprechaun are said to hoard is part of the treasure left behind by the Danes, meaning the Vikings. These invaders raided and pillaged Ireland from AD 795 to 1014, when Brian Broim, High King of Ireland, defeated them in the Battle of Clontarf near Dublin. Beautiful artifacts of beaten gold have in fact been dug from the Irish bogs, including a marvelously crafted scale model Viking warship. In Scotland and Ireland, people believed that the Danes had a recipe for making beer from heather. Legend has it that King Broim once imprisoned several Danish brewmasters, hoping to learn their formula. The eldest, fearing his comrades would tell, promised the king he'd reveal it after Broim killed the others. Then he carried the secret up to his death. After the Danes were gone, only leprechauns were thought to know and guard the secret. In the field of Ballion, Tom begs for a taste of what the leprechaun claims is ale made of heather. Leprechauns, as they are now called, are solitary fairies. They are usually discovered by the tapping sound they make, mending tiny slippers as they sit in some lonely spot behind a wall, in a hedge, under tree roots, or in a ruined castle. Industrious and irascible, they keep apart from the sociable, trooping fairies, who live in splendor and on moonlit nights sing sweetly and dance holes into those slippers. When this story was first recorded, the fairy shoemaker was called by various names throughout Ireland. Logariman in Ulster, Leprechaun in Kerry, Lorigaudown in Tipperary, Loricine in Kildare, Leprechaun in Leinster, and Cloricon in Cork. Cronker regarded these as regional variants of Locharaman, the Irish word for pygmy. He called the wee man a Cloricon. However, some say that a Cloricon is a different creature, a gloomy, grouchy fellow who hangs about in cellars drinking ale and smoking a dudeen, clay pipe. Others claim a Cloricon is simply a leprechaun on a spree. In contrast to the trooping fairies, who are known for wearing green, the leprechaun is recognized by his red jacket and carry a cutaway with 2 rows of 7 brass buttons. Some people say his breeches are yellow, others say scarlet, and on the cold, damp west coast they say he wears a drab frieze overcoat. But he's always seen in a leather apron and high-heeled shoes with ostentatiously large silver buckles. The leprechaun is said to have descended from an evil spirit and a renegade fairy, which accounts for his mixed nature, merry and generous one minute, moody and mischievous the next. As a trickster, he can't be outsmarted. Typically, he escapes his captors by blowing dust or snuff into their eyes to make them blink, or by distracting them so they look away. No one has ever managed to cheat him out of his gold. Did you know? Legends say that leprechauns were already in Ireland before the arrival of humans.